Good afternoon. As workers in community action, we face a great deal of adversity and unfortunately have a lot more losses than wins. However, when we do have a client succeed and meet their goals, it is a time to celebrate and acknowledge their efforts. I was first introduced to Audrey Matthews by her MWA caseworker, Sherry Harmon. Audrey was a single mother of 2 small children who was facing several barriers, but was driven and motivated to build a good life for her and her children. She had a lot on her plate and continued to amaze me with her strength and desire to succeed. Over the next several months, I worked with Audrey to help her meet her goals by enrolling her in programs that Green Hills offers to help people become more self-sufficient, such as daycare assistance, LIHEAP, and life skills classes. I don't want to give away too much about Audrey's speech, but you will soon see that she has become more than a client at Green Hills Community Action Agency. She has become a very close friend of mine, and I am extremely proud of her for all of her successes. When she walks across the stage at NCMC on Saturday, I know she is looking forward at what she will do next instead of looking back at the obstacles she has overcame. We playfully tease Audrey that she is young and she often doesn't understand our 80s music references, but she is wise beyond her years. Her children, Aislinn and Avon, have an awesome mom to be proud of this Mother's Day. She has made a great life for them, and I know she will continue succeeding in the future. It is my honor to introduce my good friend, Audrey Matthews, to present her success story today.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Audrey Matthews, and I was invited here today to share my success story. Traditional is a word that has never fit me or how I've grown up. I did not grow up in a traditional family. I did not have the traditional college experience, and I am not raising the traditional family today. The traditional life and family has always been a goal and something I strive to have in my life. However, my experience has turned out very different from the traditional life I had imagined. Like most children, I grew up having brothers, sisters, a mother, and a father. However, my childhood was spent mostly bouncing around, living with other members of my family. Have you ever heard the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a child"? Although it may not have been a village, every member of my family had taken a role in raising me during my childhood. My father was not involved in my life, my brothers and sister all lived in a different household, and my time with my mother was always sporadic and brief. I lived this life until I was 5 years old. I was in the process of bouncing into a household when Penny Snyder, my aunt, who had already raised 3 daughters of her own, decided to take the role of raising me as well. Although it wasn't the traditional home I had always imagined, I had all of the traditional things: a home, a family, stability, support, and most importantly, they loved me. Within their household, I thrived. I lived within their household as a part of the family until I had graduated and moved on my own. Although that sounds like the traditional high school experience, and for the most part it was, my high school years did not end traditionally. As a senior in high school, about halfway through my senior year, I discovered that I was pregnant. I was a relatively well-behaved child that held good grades throughout school, was always on the academic honors list and school groups, involved in extracurricular activities, involved briefly in sports, and was never in trouble. I was mapping my college plans and excited about high school graduation, and my boyfriend at the time was mapping out his military future. As you can imagine, discovering I was pregnant came as a shock to not only me, but those who knew me as well. With this news came a drastic change in plans for both my boyfriend and I. I had decided to wait until after I had the baby to go to college because, I'll be honest, the idea of a newborn in my first semester in college frightened me. They were both unknown to me, and I did not want to overwhelm myself. My boyfriend had to change his future as well. He had been planning to join the Army and enlist as active duty in infantry, but after discussing it together, we felt that this wasn't the right time. The following fall, we moved out on our own. He was working a minimum wage, 30-hour-a-week job, and I was at home with our daughter who had just been born. We struggled for months to live in what our parents always tell us is the real world. Finally, he had found his way in the military again, going this time as a radiology technician through the Army. He left in April when our daughter was 4 months old and was gone for a total of 1.5 years for his training and his schooling. Our lives have finally started to come together. We were done struggling and finally living comfortably. It was at the end of his schooling when we found out we were to expect our second child. Although we had not planned this one either, I was excited. Life was different now, and our future was only looking better. Little did I realize how fast that could change. Just months later, what seemed like a beautiful and normal August day changed my life. My boyfriend, who is now my husband, was off to work when I asked him if he could take me to a family member's house for the day. I was just shy of 6 months pregnant and was looking forward to get out of our house in the middle of the country. We only had one vehicle that he usually took, which left me at home until he got back. The two of us chattered and laughed all the way to town, and he left our daughter and I at my cousin's house. I spent the day there waiting for him to come back. When late evening had come, and after several attempts to try to contact him, I started to realize that he wasn't coming back for me that night. I soon figured out that he was not coming back for us at all. Soon after, I learned that this wasn't temporary. He had went home and packed his clothes, his important necessities, and left. With him, he took the only vehicle we had, the money out of our bank account, and the only source of income. I was left with most of our material things, a home that felt empty, and bills I wasn't sure how I was going to pay. At the age of 20, with one child, 6 months pregnant with my next, and no sense of what to do, my village came to my aid. My family helped me to move my belongings, provided me with a place to stay, gave me support and love, and helped me get through what I considered a dark period in my life. After about 2 months, I was able to get into rental-assisted apartments. I was receiving temporary assistance and struggling to move forward. At this time, I had my first meeting with my Green Hills Community Action Agency Missouri Works case worker, Sherry, who would help me change my life even though I was not aware of that at the time. My second baby, who was a boy, was due in only a few short months, and I was still without a vehicle, job, or sense of direction. I had my son a month early, and by early December, I had decided that I wanted to go back to school, and with the encouragement of family, friends, and my caseworker, I did just that. I was also gifted a car from my aunt, so I was able to travel back and forth to school. I was excited to start this new chapter in my life and better my life for my children and I. I was also nervous. I was starting college full-time as a single mother with a newborn and a 2-year-old. 1 year later, I was looking at the end of my degree through North Central Missouri College and was bewildered where to do my internship. I was getting my associates in business technology and needed an internship to graduate. This dilemma had come up as a topic of conversation with my temporary assistance caseworker. After discussing my internship with her, she volunteered to ask the executive director at Green Hills Community Action Agency if I could take up the receptionist position. At first, I wasn't sure if this is what I wanted to do, but agreed, because you never know if you don't try it, right? The executive director agreed to the proposal, and I was to start the next week in May and do my internship over the summer of 2014 so I could graduate in December. My internship was also a job for me. I was receiving subsidized pay through Green Hills for my work, which gave me a source of income rather than my temporary assistance. Along with this increase of income, I was now eligible for one of the Green Hills homes I had applied for a year earlier. A home would be available at the beginning of July, and we would be moving from a cramped 2-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. This was amazing news for me. I had been searching for a place more suitable for my family, and it felt like life was finally coming together. As the summer came to an end, we settled into our new home and my internship completed. I was kept on Green Hills Community Action Agency at roughly 20 hours a week subsidized pay. This program could allow me to assume this position for 6 months, which would end my subsidized pay in December. With working at Green Hills part-time, I was also attending school with a course schedule of 16 credit hours and being a single mother of 2 children. As the end of the semester drew near, there was a possibility that I could be hired full-time at Green Hills. I applied for the job among many other applicants and started officially working for Green Hills Community Action Agency at the end of my college semester. With this job, I had a steady income. I no longer needed temporary assistance, and my family would be able to live more comfortably. At this time, I had also completed college, and I had passed my semester with a 3.8 GPA and was on the Dean's Honor List. It is now 6 months later, and I am still employed at Green Hills Community Action Agency with wonderful coworkers and a job that I love. I have went through a divorce, live in a nice home that fits my family's needs, am more financially stable, and raising my children as a single mother physically and financially, and have completed schooling for my associate's degree. I have accomplished all of this despite being a single mother with 2 children in a non-traditional life. Despite all of the obstacles throughout life that I have come across, I have conquered them and took control of my life. Instead of surrendering, I decided to take bad situations and beat them. I decided I did not have to let my mistakes and circumstances define me, and worked hard to make a better life for my children and myself. I would like to thank all of you for asking me to come and share my story today. As I leave here today, I hope to have fulfilled my goal in helping inspire at least one other person in their life. Whether it be someone who can share my story to another individual who may be in a situation like I was, or it be anyone in this room. My hope is to use my experiences and story to be an example that others can use to break through whatever barriers they may face and see that it is possible to overcome them. I would also like to thank Green Hills Community Action Agency and other agencies for striving to make a difference in others' lives like they did in mine. Without Green Hills, I may not have found the means to go back to school, I wouldn't have found my internship that led to my current job, and I would not be standing here today. As I attend graduation this Saturday, a large part of that success will be in part to agencies like yours, or ours. I would also like to thank my 2 aunts, Shanda and Penny, who are here today for supporting, loving, mothering, and never giving up on me. Thank you for always believing I was capable of being a strong and successful person and nurturing me when I was not. Thank you once more for inviting me to speak today and giving me an opportunity to make a difference.